All right, another episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. I am Josue Pavone. He is, of course, Cedric Maxwell. Max, one hell of a week. Brand new coach announced. Ime Udoka is your brand new coach of the Boston Celtics. I mean, I'm sure you've been talking about it all week. I've been talking about it all week, but here we are this weekend. We've had a few days. What's your take on it? What's your immediate reaction compared to how you feel now, I guess, about this move? Because as everyone else is saying, right, it checks all the boxes, right? He checks all the boxes.
I'm going to do my shoulders like this so you'll understand it. I'm not sure if it works, but, I used to ask my kids, why'd you do that? And they'll go, it's like, you know what? I assume. All I have is assumptions here because we knew he coached under Greg Popovich. We know that he coached Tatum and Brown and Marcus and I think Kemba in the World Games.
That's right. Yep. That's when all four of them went.
Yeah,
yep.
That seems like that's where they got a sign off from those players. So we know very little about him other than that. Know that he's the thing I keep hearing is, and I guess it's true, is that Nia Long, the actress, is his girlfriend and his
that took all but 40 seconds to get into, huh, Max? There you go.
But that's one of the things I know about him. I don't know anything else. I know he bounced around the NBA for a while. He
spent a lot of time in San Antonio, though, right? I mean, that's the part that stands out in his resume.
But I think that his coaching style will be seen when he actually gets these players to see if he does anything anew.
Yeah, sort of reminds me in a way, obviously it's a completely different coach, but like when Brad Stevens got the job, remember, it was like no one knew a whole lot about him. You knew what he did with Butler in that program, getting to the Final Four and, that story about it. And then we had to see him, those first few months, how he was as a coach. So that's true. But I just think
but here's the thing, though, too. Brad was a head coach already in college. We don't know what Udoka. He's been a assistant coach.
An assistant, right?
I don't think he's been a head coach any place, any other kind of league. So, moving over into the big chairs, they like to say, another 6 inches over to the side, really change the perspective of how you handle teams and what you're going to do.
Right. Well, what stands out the most from his resume is obviously his time with San Antonio and the experience he had there. What I like most about it is what he did against the Miami Heat, those back-to-back appearances in the NBA Finals. And I'm saying what he did, right? Like as if he was playing out
there. Exactly. That's the point
Max, making. I'm thinking about Tatum and Brown, though. I'm thinking about them taking in those series. They were in high school around that time, they remember that stuff. So I think that resonates with them. And obviously the relationship that they made with Team USA and the World Basketball.
What was his decision making? Were there decisions that he had to make or implement? Sometimes as an assistant coach, one thing sometimes that happens is that like Tom Thibodeau was under Doc Rivers. He was the defensive coach. And
the defensive guru,
all those principles and all those systems. I haven't heard this about this coach, be it a specialist in any area. So that's one of the things I want to see.
Well, I'm hearing his defense. I'm hearing that he was a big part of that, and that's the experience that I think bodes well with this group because they went far. That's one heck of a program to come from. That's one heck of a school to come from, the Greg Popovich school, and he spent nearly a decade there. So I think that bodes well for these guys, that experience. But in contrast to Chauncey Billups, I know you were big on that. What do you think? Are you feeling like they could have waited this thing out? Would you rather see the Celtics go and get Chauncey, or are you just gonna wait and see? You're gonna trust Brad on this one, his decision.
I'm gonna trust what the team wanted to do. I mean, I'm sure that Brad had to do the interviewing process. He kind of knew what he wanted, but again, in my eyes, Chauncey was the man because of his relationship with Kevin Garnett. His relationship being a Boston Celtic before as a player, and his general theme of knowing players, the way he does, as maybe even a recruiter, once they you went there. I don't know that much about Udoka when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean,